Hi, this is John from Branson Cerakote. We're going to do a quick video today on a few of our stencils for magazines. We've gotten a few questions on doing the smaller stencils on just magazine-sized areas. So we've picked out the our skull cross stencil, the tribal skull, and then also the U.S. Army stencil. So what we've tried to do is pick a variety. So a couple of these are female stencils. One is a kind of a combination. It can be male or female, and then the other one's a male stencil. So we've kind of picked out a variety of what we stock for sale on our store at bransoncerakote.com. So we've already sanded down these, degreased, sanded down, and base coated these 3 magazines with graphite black. So they are ready to go. We're going to basically just focus in on them, and I will talk you through placing the stencils on. Then we're going to hang them in the booth and spray them with some Benelli sand. Okay, so we're going to start out with the U.S. Army stencil. Just like the other stencils that we sell, just peel the backing away from the stencil. And this has already started, because this is such a thin line, it starts to pull away from the transfer tape and stick to the backing. All you got to do is just press down on that, rub it a little bit with your finger, and it'll start to stick back there. So as you're pulling this off, just be careful that you don't pull the transfer tape away from the actual stencil and leave it on the backing. So once that's done, especially with an area like like a magazine, you want to figure out where it's going to look the best. So with this curve, and knowing that that's the part that's going to stick out the bottom of the mag, well, we're going to put it at a little bit of an angle here on the bottom. And then what you want to do is start from one side so that you can work the stencil down into the grooves on the magazine. And anything will work. A cuticle stick, or what we use here in the shop are these pointed Vetus tweezers. Anything that you can just use to work that down in there so it gets nice and flush and you don't get a gap underneath where you'll get feathering. Once you've got that all good and seated down on the magazine, just grab the edge of the transfer tape and start rolling it back on itself, keeping it as close to the surface as you can. That seems to be the best angle for leaving the stencil flush. If you start to get an area that pulls up, just push down on the transfer tape and it should leave it down there fine. Once you've got it on there, go ahead and go back over everything, smooth it all out, make sure it didn't pull up while it was while you were applying it. So that you don't end up with feathering underneath. That one's finished. This is going to actually be a female stencil, meaning that you're going to spray into the image instead of over the image like you would a male stencil. Same thing, peel it off. Decide where it's going to look the best, and then just slowly work it onto the surface. Because this is a female stencil, once we're done, I'm going to go through and mask the rest of this off with masking tape prior to spraying, so that the only area that's going to get coated will be the inside of the stencil. Won't do that on camera because it's just tedious and it's not going to show you anything. And the last one is going to be our only strictly male stencil of the three. So same thing, just peel it right off. With some of these more intricate stencil patterns, you've got to really be careful that you don't lose any pieces while you're peeling them. And that's completely normal. With these smaller pieces, they want to stick to the backing, which is what they were manufactured on. So you're just trying to slowly peel that away. I've mentioned in a couple of our other videos, and I get asked this question quite often, about touching these surfaces with no gloves on. As long as you keep your hands clean, a little bit of hand oil, oil off your fingers is not going to mess with this stuff. Cerakote honestly is pretty forgiving when it comes to that. You don't want your hands to be greasy or sweaty or anything like that. If they are, go wash your hands. If you feel better about wearing gloves, nothing wrong with that. Personally, for me, it's really hard to manipulate some of these stencils and the tape and things like that with gloves on, so I just don't wear them. I've never had an issue with this with the stencil material Cerakote. If you look at it before you spray it and you notice an area that looks a little greasy, just take a little bit of acetone on a rag and just wipe it down. It's not going to hurt the stencil, it's not going to hurt the base coat. And then just go ahead and spray your Cerakote over it. So I'm going to go ahead and mask off the skull with the cross, and then we'll pick back up in the spray booth. All right, we've got our magazines ready to go. We've got our Benelli sand mixed up and then the spray gun. We're going to go ahead and speed the camera up so that you don't have to sit here and watch me just spray for no reason. So this shouldn't take very long, and we'll pop them in the oven and then we'll bring them back out and show them to you when they're finished. Okay, so the mags have come out of the oven. One of my problems is I'm not able to just do something and leave it alone. I've always got to kind of tweak things. I've got a whole shop here. I've got Cerakote. I just tend to play with things, especially when we're doing R&D on stencils, which is what we were doing today. It was a demonstration to show you how to put the stencils on, but it's also testing out fonts, testing out shapes, things like that before we put them in our store. So the U.S. Army one turned out great. I did a little battle wear on it, sprayed it light, so it would be kind of a rough look, and then battle worn it. I think this one turned out great. The tribal skull, I splashed a little orange on there just to kind of give it a kind of a voodoo look or whatever. Thought that one turned out great. Had some Corvette yellow in a bottle that was going to be going bad. It was going to end up going in the trash soon. So I just kind of misted that over the tribal skull, the cross skull. Hate this one. So would not have done the yellow again. I just think it kind of really clashed, but the stencil worked great. It was just the effect I did on it. But that's why you do R&D, to see what's going to work, what's not going to work. So All these stencils are available for sale on at our store, BransonCerakote.com. Click the tab for our store. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest.
In our store.
And BransonCerakote.com. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us. Our contact info is on our webpage, and absolutely do not mind answering questions. So if you got any questions, email us or give us a call. Thanks.